All right, what's going on? This is Don T Records Music Group, and today I want to give you a quick tutorial on my vocal process. Okay, so one of the first things I do when doing vocals is the most important step, in my opinion, and that's getting the best vocal recording possible, and then choosing the best vocal recording take or several takes to capture the best vocal performance. Most important, because why am I going to try to mix a vocal that is not recorded correctly or doesn't sound the way I want it to sound? That don't make any sense. So make sure that your vocal recording is tight before going into the mixing process. So take a look here at my process. I got a vocal right here that I already processed. It's Don T Lead. It's called Don T Lead. It's a new song that I'm working on. And as you can see, I got several pieces spliced together from various vocal takes to make this performance the best performance possible. Now, one of the things that I have to do prior to actually getting into the mix process on this vocal is sometimes I do a gain balance here. In that way that when I go compressing, things are pretty much on the same level already, minus my transients, and we'll fix that during the compression stage. So to do that, I will go up here to Other, and this is in Pro Tools, and I would grab the gain plugin, which looks like this, and then I would analyze the vocal that's selected and analyze it, and as you can see, it tells you what my level of that vocal is. It's negative 3.5 dB. And if I were to wanted to see what the level of the next piece of this vocal is, I would do the same thing. I would analyze it, and it'd tell me what it is. And so in most cases, I will use this to kind of get the overall level of the vocals that may be too loud or maybe not loud enough to bring them up to a good level, so that during the compression phase it's not so much that the compressor is working to get certain things at the same level. So I use that little device. Okay, and this is going to be real quick and dirty, so if you need to rewind the tape, I'm going to go quick. I'm not going to be too long. Okay, so the next step in my process is listening to the vocal for noises and remove these unwanted noises in the recording. So I go through that, I listen to it, I remove some of that stuff in there, some of the pops, clicks. If there is any pops and clicks in the vocal, I'll go ahead and remove them. Okay, so this vocal I had already EQ'd, and I'll let you listen to it. I'll listen to it on solo. So you can hear it with the plugins and without the plugins, and then I'll actually start my process down here on this vocal. So here's with the plugins on the track, so you can hear it. So listen up.
Done had myself in many situations. This might help you. Don't dare change the station. This is my career, not just an occupation.
Alright, so if I were to turn that off and play that back, take a listen to what it sounds like, and then I'll do a click and bypass so you can kind of hear the difference.
Spreading God's truth.
So let's start back where I was.
Done had myself in many situations. This might help you. Don't dare change the station.
Right,
this
engage.
is my career, not just an occupation. Spreading God's truth from the roof to the basement. Not always been saved, but I learned real quick with that 9 to my head. What I thought, this is it. I thought that was it when I was in that car wreck. Hit that wall so hard, man, I could have snapped my neck. I'm blessed.
Okay, so as you can hear, it gets pretty muddy and not too clear as it plays through without the plugins engaged. Okay, so I'm going to move on down to the next vocal, and that's the one where I'm going to start actually going through my process. Okay. About that much of it. That's good. All right. So my first thing that I do is subtractive EQ. It's used to remove any bad or unwanted frequencies from a track to clean up and make room for other instruments. So we're going to start with a standard stock plugin that I like to use. Where is it at? Here it is. The EQ 3/7 band stock plugin found in Pro Tools. All right, so the first thing I do is I'm going to start around the 200 range, 200 hertz range, to find out if there's any noise that I don't like. And the first thing you want to make sure is that your bandwidth is narrow. So I'm at 200 right here. It's already there. So I'll start there, and I'll turn my bandwidth all the way up so that it's narrow. And then I'm going to do large gains on the frequency. So large boost here. Okay. So let's take a listen to what it sounds like, and then we'll go from there.
I'm on.
Oh, we don't want that. Let's stop it. Sorry about that.
I can't repay the debt, and he don't owe me nothing. I came with nothing. He gave it all, and he made me something. Man, I'm simply trying to get this point across. This dude you see before you was nothing without the cross.
Okay, so if you hear right there, you hear like a woo 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 type sound. That's the sound that I don't want. It sounds like woo 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 woo. And so what you want to try to do is you want to try to find the loudest section where it's going woo 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 woo, because that's the noise I don't want in my mix. So I'm going to do a reduction there at between, depending on the loudness of it, you want to go no more than negative 3 dB. But if it's not very loud, then just go approximately like negative 1, 1.5, somewhere in that nature. So I'm going to do a reduction here. And now with the Q, you want to just make the Q bandwidth wide enough to capture that frequency, what's that, just in that range, but you want to keep it narrow. You don't want to make it too wide. So I'll just stretch it out a little bit, come down a little bit just to widen it up just a little bit to capture some more of that frequency there, some of that frequency range, just enough not to capture all the rest of the frequencies, because I want it to sound as natural as possible when I do this. All right, so my next sweep, I'm going to start at 300, and then I'm going to go up to 500. Let's take a listen. All right, so we're going to start at 300. We'll move up to 5, and you can see right here I'm already in the actually in the 300 range. So I might want to just slide this over, or perhaps reduce my bandwidth a little bit narrower, because it's already in the 300, about in the 300 range, or just kind of step back a little bit. It does. I mean, it's not going to do a whole lot there as far as any interference, but you know, it could be like a cliff there if need be, depending on where the next sound that is not wanted is. All right, so we'll do it again. We'll come back. We'll play it back.
I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. Even when I'm hurting, he remains perfect. He tore that curtain for certain, and I was not deserving. And every now and then, he still catch me swerving. Conviction turns to repentance, and I continue learning that his grace sufficient, but his will is set. And though I slip and fall, all my needs are met.
All right, so about right there at about 355. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that down. 355. And I probably want to reduce this one to about, I say, because it's not too noticeable. It's noticeable, but not so much. Maybe negative 1 dB. And as far as the width goes, I won't make it any wider than probably about 7 or 8. All right. So next, and another way to kind of take a listen is to see what it's doing is playing the vocal. But we'll check that in a minute. Okay. So next, I'm gonna go to about 2 kilohertz, and then I'm gonna sweep that spectrum, that frequency spectrum, to see, and it's already at 2K now, to see if there's like this ringing sound. Sometimes you'll find that ringing sound, and I definitely don't want that. But here's rule of thumb: I would never do more than 5 cuts, and the reason being I would never do more than 5 cuts is because the vocal will start to sound unnatural, and you don't want your vocal to sound unnatural. You want it to sound as natural as you can possibly get it. And so, it's best not to, do a whole lot of cutting and unnecessary editing as far as EQ on your vocal. All right.
He still catch me swerving. Conviction turns to repentance, and I continue learning that His grace sufficient, but His will is set. And though I slip and fall, all my needs are met.
Okay, you hear like that whistling sound, sounds like a ringing whistling sound. See, that's the frequency that I don't want. Okay, so around 3, 5, 6 is where I hear it the most, and so I'm gonna bring it on down, and I'm gonna cut maybe about 2 dB, 3 dB. Right there, right 3/5, 6, and I'm gonna catch some more of it. So I'm gonna widen this up a little bit just to catch some more of that. Okay, so now that's done. Next step I'm gonna do is do my high pass filter, and on this plug-in standard on a lot of boards, a lot of microphones. It's 12 dB here. I know some plugins like in Logic that starts out at 24, and that's like the shelf how steep it's going to be. But 12 is normally is the standard for many external consoles and things like that. So that's why I stay at 12 dB. And if you look at your mic specifications and stuff on the mics, you'll see that it's 12 dB as well. So I'm gonna cut here about 100. Let me put it in, make it a little faster and type it in. 100, not 1,000, 100. Okay, about right there. So 100 hertz where I'm gonna cut, and this here will move my vocals out of the way of other instruments and things, and make room for other things. Also get rid of some boominess or things like that in the vocal that I might not want. But generally you have to play it by ear. That's going to be my default right now, is about right there. Some people do it at 80, some people do it even lower than that. But this is how I do my thing. All right. So my next move is to and we can listen to it now of what it sounds like with that those cuts. We'll go ahead and listen to it.
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. Even when I'm hurting, He remains perfect.
Yeah, so you can hear it cleaned it up a little bit. So next plug-in I deal with is a de-esser. And so I use the Waves de-esser. And so for this purpose only, for this tutorial only, I'm just going to load a male sound. Actually not sound, but the ish sound. Because about 4,500 in that range, and a little above you'll start hearing your S sound. So right here I'm going to start with the preset that I've started with, and I'm going to tweak it, the threshold, until I have about -3 dB reduction. And that's probably as far as I'm going to go with the reduction. It also has a side channel where you can actually listen to it, what frequency is actually affecting. But I won't do that for this tutorial for the sake of time. So I'll just play it back. Now, one thing I would tell you is you probably want to loop apart a section of your mix.
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it.
Like right there, I keep rehearsing these verses right there. So that's probably what I'm gonna loop, and then I'll check it from there because that's got some S sounds. So you want to probably loop a section where there are S sounds.
I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard.
Okay, I dropped on the playback, so I gotta fix some things here. Normally my playback engine, turn it up a little bit as usual. All right, so I'm done with that plugin. So what's next? Next, I have my compressor, and what I do is I do a stack compression, and I'll tell you why. So my first compressor that I'm gonna use is a CLA 2 Alpha by Waves. Okay, very nice compressor when it comes to vocals. I leave the analog off because it adds too much noise, and I don't want that noise, so I leave that off. All right, so here I actually load Sibilant Box. That's the one I use to see where it's at. It's very nice preset, and that's my go-to. Now the gain basically is for the output, and here's your peak reduction over here. So I normally like to have this between -3 and 6 dB reduction. So let's take a listen.
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. Even when I'm hurting, he remains perfect. He tore that curtain for certain, and I was not deserving. And every now and then, he still catch me swerving.
Okay, so right now we gotta do some reduction on this. But one thing I didn't say at the beginning is to make sure that your ins and outs are balanced. On this, you're gonna make sure your ins and outs are balanced.
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect.
And that's pretty balanced. So that's one step I did miss, and that's on everything you do. Even on this, you want to check your input, see where your input's going to. So
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect.
And again, when you do this, you want to loop a section. That way you're looking at the same thing over and over again, and not just continuing to hear a whole lot of vocals. You want to hear the same thing and kind of check it that way. It'd be a lot faster.
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect.
And as you can see here, my output is a little bit louder, but I'll turn it down and balance it. But what I want to do here is check the gain reduction again.
I'm on the straight and narrow
because I want the gain reduction to be around -3.
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on the straight and narrow.
Okay, so about right there. So my next move now is to listen to whether the input, output about the same.
I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on the straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect.
Okay, so that sounds about right. So I'll leave that just right there. And then the next one, again, I'm going to add another compressor. I like to stack my compressors because it gives it a vocal upfront sound, and also it gives it a warm sound. The first compressor was to get rid of some to reduce the high peaks or the transients, and these are the transients. These parts you see here sticking up, sticking high, those are your transients, and that's what I'm doing with the first compressor, is to reduce those transients. Okay, all right. So next compressor I use is another compressor, the API 2500 compressor, and it gives the vocals a nice warm sound, compressed, ready for the radio sound, and it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. Check it out. So I already got a preset already loaded here, and what you can see, I got a fast attack, and then I got a pretty modern release on this. What I tell you is, again, 3 to 6 dB is all I'm looking for on this as well. Threshold and the ratio, they're like connected in such a way. I'm using a 2-to-1 ratio and my compression. So let's take a listen and see what I got to do to actually go ahead and tweak this to get where I need it to be. But I think pretty much it's going to be pretty close. So I'm gonna loop another section.
I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect.
All right, so that's pretty much what I'm gonna go with. It's pretty much my default go-to. I just make sure my threshold, I use a 2-to-1. My threshold, I adjust until I get a -3 to -6 dB reduction, gain reduction. I pretty much got a fast attack because rap is kind of fast, and you know what I'm saying. Here's your attack right here. My rap is fast, so you know, you got to hit it, and then you don't want to release it too quick because then you'll get a pumping sound. So I try to avoid getting that pumping sound. So I kind of put a pretty mild release on it so I don't have that pumping thing going on. Okay. All right. So, and with everything we do, we continue to save as we go. So make sure you save your work. All right. So here, last but not least, and I'm not going to go into adding effects and all that on this tutorial. I'm just doing the EQ process. So I like to use the Rec 6, the Renaissance equalizer from Waves. Okay, and so what I'm doing with this EQ is I'm looking to give my vocal some presence. Make my vocal stand out, make sure that it's clear, and so forth. Okay. So normally what I do is generally I'll start up out here at the high section to start raising it up, just try to get my vocal clear. But before I do that, I'm gonna have to take a step back because I missed a step in my reduction. Okay, so I take a step back because I missed a step. So I apologize for that. But this is live, you know, this is what we do. We make mistakes, but we go back. Okay, so also I want to do a low pass filter on this vocal, okay? There's some around 17 and so forth. That's where, you know, you really don't hear it, but it cleans it up a lot when you reduce it about around here, 17, 15, up to 18, somewhere in there. It really does something to it, and I'm gonna let you hear what it does, because I'll turn it on and off just so you can hear it. It's on now.
I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect.
I don't know if you can hear it. It's very subtle. I can hear it. I don't know how good you can hear it. I mean, it's very subtle, but it does do something to the vocal. It cleans it up a bit, and so that's why I like to use it around 17K, because it does clean it up. All right, so back to where I was, looking for clarity and so forth in the vocal. So around 7, you want to try to boost there, of course. I may go like 4 dB off the bat. I keep my Q pretty much where it's at on here, and let's just take a listen to it. And as you're doing this, of course, it's the track is playing, and I know a lot of people sometimes do another high pass filter, but I don't do that because I think it takes a lot of the realness out of the vocal, a lot of the feel out of the vocal, a lot of the warmth out of the vocal. So I don't mess with that again, and I don't do a whole lot of cutting doing this process, because I've done a lot of cutting already, all the unwanted frequencies I wanted in this. And so if I cut anything, it may be very little, because I want to keep the natural sounding. Okay, let's play it.
Yeah. Do it again. Do it again. Yeah.
There we go. That's just me. That's some of the cleaning up I got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm on that straight and narrow, but I'm far from perfect. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. Even when I'm hurting, he remains perfect. He tore that curtain for certain, and I was not deserving. And every now and then, he still catch me swerving. Conviction turns to repentance, and I continue learning that his grace sufficient, but his will is set. And though I slip and fall, all my needs are met. I can't repay the debt, and he don't owe me nothing. I came with nothing, he gave.
And then I'll try to go around the 3K to 25 to 4K to kind of give it some presence and open the vocal up. So I'm going to start about 24 here. That's normally where I start, and try to see what that does. And forgive me if I don't have, like on this, a kind of a straight up, sequence of events. Because basically, I'm listening to it. Okay, what I need. I know this frequency is going to give me my vocal some openness and presence. I know up here around the 10K mark and on up to 12K plus, I'm going to get some air. I know I'm going to get some air. Up that way, and when I need air, I get some air. So 12K and up, I get some air. So I'll move this up to about 12, about right there. That's good. So when I add it in, I'll get it. So let's listen to it.
But I'm far from perfect. I keep rehearsing these verses as if you never heard it. Even when I'm hurting, he remains perfect. He tore that curtain for certain, and I was not deserving. And every now and then, he still catch me swerving. Conviction turns to repentance, and I continue learning that his grace sufficient, but his will is set. And though I slip and fall, all my needs are met. I can't repay the debt, and he don't owe me nothing. I came with nothing. He gave it all, and he made me something. Man, I'm simply trying to get this point across. This dude you see before you is nothing without the cross. He loves without condition.
Okay, I kind of like it right there. Like I said, it kind of opens it up. It gives it, and I'll let you hear it. It gives it some openness. It gives it some presence and so forth. I kind of like it right there. So I'll let you hear the difference.
Even when I'm hurting, he remains perfect. He tore that curtain for certain, and I was not deserving. And every now and then, he still catch me swerving. Conviction turns to repentance, and I continue learning.
Hope you can hear that, how it opened it up. Now, add a little bit of air, not a whole lot, just a little bit here. Might be like 1K. We'll see what that sounds like. Because I don't want a whole lot. I don't want it too bright, because sometimes we think our ears brightness sounds good, but that's not always the case.
Even when I'm hurting, he remains perfect. He tore that curtain for certain, and I was not deserving. And every now and then, he still catch me swerving. Conviction turns to repentance, and I continue learning.
Okay. All right. So now I got, pretty much it's sounding pretty good. Right there, it's clear. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the clarity in the vocal. And so now that I have it to this point, my next point is to actually bring it into the music and start to do some, I have to do some more EQing once the music comes on, perhaps. Do the leveling first, making sure it's level prior to getting into EQing and so forth again, just to see how it sounds, and so forth. Let me see, make sure I ain't forget anything. That's pretty much all the processing I'm going to do on this right now. Again, I'm not going to do the high pass, low pass again on this one, because I did it at the beginning already. So I'm not going to do it here, because I do not want to have the vocal sounding unnatural, and that's my whole goal, is to keep the vocal sounding natural. If you like this video, and I'll ask you to subscribe, and I'll bring you some more tutorials on mixing vocals, mixing tracks, making beats, and so forth. That's coming up. I hope if you have any questions, you can reach back and ask me. I realize I'm already into like 34 minutes. I'm gonna try to cut some of this short here, but I just want to try to give you an in-depth look at what I do and how I do it, and so that you can understand, because I've seen many videos that I didn't understand a whole lot, because maybe they're not speaking the right language or whatever. So hopefully I'm speaking the right language that you understand, and you'll come back, you'll subscribe to my channel, you'll visit my website at DonTRecordsMusicGroup.com, and you'll subscribe to my channel for future videos that will be coming your way. Any questions, please hit me up. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.